are the 50 biggest changes in Black Ops 7 Zombies, combining all of the information that we've learned so far so that you've got a one-stop shop for everything you need to know. We're going to be rapid fire going through a bunch of information in this video, so make sure you've hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get started. Number one, let's talk about modes. This year, there's standard mode with a main quest and lots of side quests available day one, but there's other stuff available day one too. The one you've probably seen most information about so far is survival, and the launch survival map is farm. The survival map does not have side quests on it, but it does have all the stuff that you're going to need to survive. So you're going to have a pack-a-punch, you're going to get a Wonder Fizz machine, and this is going to be available to play in the beta as well. More on that later. There will be multiple survival maps coming through the year, and the initial ones are going to be based on Ashes of the Damned POIs, which will make sense in a moment. But later in the year, we'll be getting different survival maps that are not related to Ashes as well. So that's survival mode. There's also a new mode called Cursed, and this is the really exciting one because it's more like classic zombies. It's unlocked by completing specific criteria, which seems to be completing the main quest in the standard mode. That appears to be what's going to unlock Cursed for you. And in Cursed, it's going to focus on legacy mechanics. So no loadouts. You're going to spawn in with a starting pistol, and that's all. There's going to be no armor, no mini-map. There's going to be the Black Ops 3 Zombies point system, and inside it, it's unconfirmed as of right now whether or not the main quest is going to be active from day one. It might be that that comes later, but there will be several side questy style things that you can do to unlock these things called relics. These relics can then be used in subsequent cursed matches to add modifiers to the match. So for example, one relic removes the ammo crates, so you have to buy ammo off the wall, just like you did in old zombies. Another relic will instill a 4 perk limit, so you can no longer just buy every single perk from Wonder Fizz and call it a day. The more of these that you enable in Cursed mode, the more benefits that you're going to get. It's going to increase your power level, and you're going to unlock new tiers of Cursed mode as well. So you might be thinking, this sounds really awesome, but where do I play it? What map am I playing it on? And so we need to talk about Ashes of the Damned. Ashes is the main launch map for Black Ops 7. It's Ashes as the main standard map, and then you've got the farm POI, which is point of interest from within Ashes. So that's like a little fenced off area of Ashes, similar to how we had survival maps in Black Ops 2 Zombies. The Ashes map is transit inspired. It's got 6 main points of interest, and these are the Janus Towers Plaza, where you spawn in, and that's going to be quite reminiscent of Reckoning if you've played that map, the final DLC map for Black Ops 6 Zombies. Then Van Dorn Farm, which is the farm map that I've been referring to in this video, Blackwater Lake, Ashwood, Exit 115, which is the diner, and Zarya Cosmodrome, which is Ascension. Now, between all of these POIs, you have foggy areas where the rules change slightly. So when you're in a normal POI area, it's round-based as you'd expect. You have a certain number of zombies, you kill them all, the round changes. But when you're in the fog, it's a bit different. You're basically gonna, by the sounds of things, have infinite super sprinters coming at you. You're gonna have those denizen-looking things, which are a new enemy type we'll talk about in a little bit. Those are gonna be attacking you as well, and it's generally gonna feel significantly more difficult to survive, and so you're not gonna wanna spend a huge amount of time there. But there is stuff hidden in the fog, as we can see in the main trailer. Now, the way that you're supposed to move through the fog is by using a new 5th player that there is in this map, except it's not actually a player, it's a vehicle that talks to you, so it's halfway to a player maybe, and it's called Old Tessie. The very first thing that you do is you grab Ted's head when you spawn in, and you plug that into Tessie, and that's going to bring Tessie to life. And then you need to upgrade Tessie several times, so you can do things like add abomination heads to the front of Tessie to fire out laser beams. You can build a DG2 onto the back of Tessie, so you can fire out arcing bolts of lightning at the enemies as you move through the fog. And the coolest part of it, in my opinion, is that you can plug a jet into the back of Tessie, which not only gives her a jet boost, but it also works as a pack-a-punch. So you have a mobile pack-a-punch that you can use anywhere that you bring Tessie to, and it's just available no matter what. Now, Tessie isn't the only way to get around. Once you've restored power in a given area, it's going to power an Ascension jump pad looking device. And these will cost a small amount of essence, like 500 essence, and you'll then be able to use those to jump to the left or to the right. Each one has 2 different paths that you can take, and that will bounce you either clockwise or anti-clockwise around the kind of loop of Ashes of the Damned. But let's say you don't take that fast travel and you decide to ride Tessie. What are the sort of things that you might come across while you're riding in the fog? Well, I mentioned there's new enemy types, right? So we have the Ravagers in this, which are denizen-like, bio-like creatures, if you've read the Call of Duty Zombies comics and you remember the bios. And these will attack the truck, they will try to disable it, and they'll just cause you a general nuisance. And they will also consume salvage and other drops that you leave lying on the floor. So if you've got a bunch of loot just left behind, those Ravagers are gonna make off with that loot before you can grab it if you leave it too long. So there's those, and there's also the bear, which is called Zersa, and this bear can do a charge attack where it charges into the truck and deals high damage to it. And it also has a ranged attack, which is related to zombies, literal bees that are infesting kind of honeycomb, beehive-y looking structures on the bear itself. And those bees obviously will not be something that you want to get stung by. Thankfully, there are new ways to take down zombies in Ashes of the Damned. Specifically, there's a wonder weapon, which is a new custom wonder weapon. It's not a remaster of a remaster of a remaster of the jet gun. It's the Necrofluid Gauntlet. We've never seen this before. This thing is melee focused because there are some new quality of life melee changes in Black Ops 7 that we'll talk about later, but it also does have a ranged attack where you can fire spikes out and then you can do another attack to pull those spikes back through the zombies, hitting them on the way there and the way back, and you can use that as a way to retrieve items as well. So if there's a power-up that's far away from you that you want to retrieve, fire out those spikes, fire them back towards you, and you'll be able to grab that item and bring it in. It also is said to have vampiric tendencies. Now, does that mean that it heals the player, or does that mean it likes sucking your blood? I'm going to leave that one to your imagination. On top of that, there are things like new traps. So for example, we've seen the saw blade trap. It's like a little Master Chief looking baby, and this thing's going to send out a bunch of saw blades around it and kill the zombies that are nearby. So what else do we have at our disposal to take out some of these new threats? Well, there is one new perk in Black Ops 7. So the way the perks are going to work is all the perks from Black Ops 6 are back. That's nearly a dozen perks that are just being repurposed and brought back for Black Ops 7. And then there's this one new additional one called Wisp T. It summons a little blue wisp that is going to float around your gun, and then when it's off cooldown and it's ready to be used, it's going to fire out and a little demon is going to start attacking the given target that it's found. Once it's killed enough zombies or it's done enough damage, it's then going to go onto cooldown and you're going to need to wait a little bit for it to come back, and then the wisp will fire out again and keep doing that. Now, it does have round end protection, so the wisp is not going to kill the last zombie in a round and frustrate you by flipping the round when you don't want that to happen, so that's good news. But this isn't an entirely new perk. It's very reminiscent of something that you might remember from Black Ops 4 Zombies. Yeah, related to a little friendly dog we remember called Luna. So that's the new perk. There's also one new ammo mod in Black Ops 7, except again, it's not new. It's something that we've seen in the past and they've just brought it back. So it's Fireworks from Black Ops 3. You guys will remember that Fireworks used to just cause a little fireworksy explosion. It's now a little bit larger than it used to be back in the day. There's a little bit more to the explosion. It's a little bit more colorful, I would say, but it's going to feel more or less like Fireworks. Now, I would say that all the other Black Ops 6 ammo mods are returning in Black Ops 7, but technically that's not true. We're actually getting drip-fed some of the old ammo mods once again in this game, unfortunately. So Lightmend and Shatterblast are not going to be present in Black Ops 7 on day one. Instead, we're going to have to wait for them coming in a seasonal drop. But they are planned to be coming, and so then we will just have all the stuff from Black Ops 6. A similar situation goes for the new field upgrade. So this, again, is not new, This is something that is returning from the past, and it's just been repurposed for Black Ops 7 again, and that's Toxic Growth is the new field upgrade. This will block pathways for zombies, so they'll run into the Toxic Growth, they'll slow down. You can fire 3 Toxic Growths total, so you can cover a larger area, and enemies that move through that slowing field also get poisoned and take damage. The reason I said this was a similar situation to the ammo mods is that, again, we would be getting all of the Black Ops 6 field upgrades returning in Black Ops 7, apart from the fact that they're being drip-fed again. So at launch, we will not have Tesla Storm, Frost Blast, or Mr. Peaks, and instead, those will be released in a seasonal drop, and then we'll have all the Black Ops 6 stuff, and we'll have this one new thing, except it's from Cold War, so I just don't really like using the word new, and that's Toxic Growth. Next, let's talk about Gobblegums. Gobblegum is carrying forward from Black Ops 6, so any that you have earned on your account this year, you will be able to then use in Black Ops 7, which is good news, in my opinion. And a new, pretty cool, I think, sounding feature is that you can now crush your balls and get essence out of them. This will also vary depending on what rarity your gobbles are. So if you crush higher rarity balls, you'll get more points. Treyarch have thought about all the edge cases here as well. So for example, if you activate profit sharing first and then you crush your balls, your teammates will all benefit so long as they're nearby. They've also made some quality of life changes to the Gobblegums. So for example, gums that previously you would activate and then it would spawn something in front of you. Instead now, you activate it and you just get the thing. You get the power up it was going to drop or whatever. So just saves you an extra little bit of running to the thing. They've also added a new change so that when you activate a Gobblegum machine, there's then a small cooldown for just you so that your teammates get a go, because apparently people have been hogging the Gobblegum machines and stopping their teammates from spinning. And also an exit strategy specific change. That Gobblegum now just insta-exfils you. It's just done. Finished. Finito. Easy exfil. So that's all well and good, but you're probably thinking, well, I don't really care about like exit strategy. I care about what gums are new, right? So we have 41 gums from Black Ops 6, which are returning in this game, and we have 6 new gums. Of those new gums, some, again, are not actually new. They're things that we've seen in the past, and they're just being repurposed once again, whereas others are a little bit more novel. So, Aftertaste. That'll sound familiar to you if you've been a Gobblegum enjoyer for a number of years. And this is a rare gobble in Black Ops 7, which is actually really great news because it's so strong. It allows you to keep all your perks after you're revived. And thanks to it being blue, that's going to mean that we're going to be able to spam use that thing pretty damn frequently. There's a new epic called Requipment, where your equipment slots refill over time. Another epic called Power Vacuum. Yeah, you've heard of that one before. And that means that kills have a higher chance to spawn power-ups. A legendary, that's the orange rarity, which is called Round Off, where rounds are prevented from advancing for 2 rounds. So you'd finish round 9, and then round 9 would start again. You'd finish round 9 would start again, and then you'd finish round 9, and you'd move on to round 10. It just means that you get to kind of duplicate the round, which is going to be amazing for round 1 Easter eggs. I think this is an awesome Gobblegum addition. And there's another legendary called Armageddon, which means that you receive a 3-plate armor vest and full plates right off the jump. Finally, there is one ultra, that is the red Gobblegum, and it's called Gift Card, and it's just straight up a delivery of 30,000 essence. So those are the new gobbles. Now, while we're on the topic of power-ups, gobbles, stuff like that, let's talk about changes to the actual drops that occur in Black Ops 7 Zombies. So we're all familiar with getting nukes and insta-kills and max ammos and stuff like that, and some of us also will be familiar with the drop cycle, if you know that terminology. Well, Treyarch's actually changing things up a little bit with that this year, so you're going to be getting additional power-ups dropping within a round compared to before. So more power-ups, which sounds cool. Then within that, they're actually changing how the power-ups work just a little bit. So insta-kill kills, for example, will not recharge field upgrade charge at all, which was the case, I think, back in Cold War. Max ammos will now also refill equipment as well, which is really nice. And fire sales will now reduce trap prices to 10 and decrease wall weapon costs, as well as having its usual feature still apply. On top of all of that, they're also adding random perk power-ups into the drop cycle, but not every single cycle. So the way this will work is you'll need to have purchased a certain number of perks in a match before this will then start occurring. And then at a lower frequency, like a more random chance, you're going to start seeing random perks appear as some of the drops that you can receive, which is pretty cool. Next, let's talk about augments. So the augment system is back from Black Ops 6 Zombies. It works very similarly to how it worked in Black Ops 6, except rather than having 3 majors and 3 minor augments, you now are going to have a total of 4 major augments and 4 minor augments to choose from. So they're bringing the 3 forward from Black Ops 6, and they're adding 1 new major and 1 new minor augment to everything. Then on top of that, once you finish your research tree and research progress will carry forward from Black Ops 6, you will then be able to equip 2 minor augments at once. So you'll be able to pick a major and 2 minors. This is gonna change up some of the build diversity, which should be pretty exciting. And alongside all of the new minor and major augments that they're adding in this game, should mean that we get to try out some pretty fun builds. And because Treyarch knew that we'd be spending a lot of time with the augment system, they've also made some changes to how some of the old augments work as well. Now, I have a full in-depth video going over literally every single augment change, which there are dozens and dozens of, and going over every single new augment, and that's going to be linked in the corner of the screen right now and in the description down below. But it's just too much information to contain in a video that's trying to be a summary like this one. But if you're subscribed to my channel, you've probably already seen that video, so you've not missed anything. If you're not subscribed though, you're probably missing out. Make sure you fix that. Now, another thing that is changing a little this year that's going to be a good quality of life improvement for you guys is that Treyarch is introducing build codes. So I'm going to be able to make a video about some new weapon. Let's say they release an MP40 and I'm like, wow, this thing's so sick, right? I'm not going to have to sit there and be like, so here's my first equipment slot. This is the attachment that I have on this thing. There it is. Yep. Follow what I'm doing in the gameplay. Copy it at home on your console. No, I now can just put a code in the description of my video saying, this is the gun I'm using, and you can copy paste that into your game, and boom, my weapon attachments will just appear already equipped. Like, it's just gonna share the build to you. It's such a nice change. So Treyarch, massive W on this one. I can't believe this didn't happen years ago, but it's long overdue and it's here now, so hell yeah. But they're also changing some other elements of the loadout system in ways that might be slightly more controversial. So they're actually reducing the amount of extra salvage that you get for using a suppressor. You know how in Black Ops 6, we've been using suppressors super frequently because it means you get extra salvage? That's just less strong now. So they're nerfing that. And it sounds like they might be playing with making some of the other attachments a little bit more useful, but it's a little early to say on that front exactly where those changes are happening. So just stay tuned to my channel. But we do have some information about some of the new tacticals and lethals, etc. So there's a new tactical called a psych grenade, which almost sounds like it's going to create a cross between a terrifying fog for the zombies to step into, and also a fog that might charm them almost like brain rot. It's going to be a cloud of red gas, and when the zombies run into it, they're going to be charmed. But it doesn't sound like it attracts the zombies so much as it's just there, almost like a smoke grenade. Then there's a new tactical called a hunter bot. This will home in towards nearby special or elite enemies before exploding on impact, and that might be really useful for taking out that Xursa bear. And there's also a new lethal called a point turret. And this is a small sentry that sticks to surfaces and it distracts and damages enemies. And I actually used this when I played some Farm Survival and I thought it was decent. Next, let's spend just 60 seconds talking about Dead Ops Arcade 4, and then we'll go back to some of the big quality of life improvements coming to just the base zombies experience this year. So this year, we're getting 20 unique areas, 4 levels per arena, 80 levels to complete a full run, which I think is up from, what was it before, 40 and 64? This time it's 80. There's 10 That's 5. There's 10 different bonus rooms. They're adding some weapons from the zombies experience that you're probably familiar with. So the jet gun and the Wunderwaffe DG2 are being added. There's new silverback challenges. There's Redin's Rally, where you can ATV race around a circular track. The Fall 100, where you can descend through a chamber to collect treasure. Room of Fate Mountain Challenge, where you pick a permanent fate like previous iterations. They're also adding zombie bosses and familiar foes from the regular zombies mode. So the Z-Rex from Black Ops 6, Zersa from Black Ops 7, the Guardian Golem, Mega Abomination, those are being added. There are Slayer map experiences, which grant a Slayer Mart upon completion, where you can buy over 70 powerful upgrades. Dead Ops Arcade this year is going to grant XP, so you can level in Dead Ops just like you can in the other modes. They've also added some features from core round-based zombies, so ammo mods, field upgrades, and Gobblegums can be used, but there are going to be alternate modes which do not have those things enabled if you just want the hardcore kind of classic experience for a Dead Ops player. And they're also doing a standard advanced start mode where you can begin a new standard game at the highest round you previously achieved. So it's basically a continue feature. So Dead Ops sounds like it's got a ton of love this year. Now let's talk about some of the love that the base Zombies experience has received. To start with, Treyarch wants to smooth out the difficulty curve a little bit, and so instead of getting to rounds 45, 50, 55, and feeling like you're hitting a massive wall, they're actually making the progression feel a little bit more gradual in difficulty, up to round 100. This means fewer super sprinters generally in the game, just a reduction in the total number of super sprinters, and it means that they won't be having armored zombies super sprinting anymore. This will, however, mean that they have a different little bit of a bonus, which makes them skeletal, and that's going to add to their armor, making them a little bit more chunky. But luckily, there'll be certain attachments that will be more strong for taking out those armored zombies. Alongside this change to the overall difficulty curve, Treyarch's making it so that now, when the zombies themselves start doing more damage to you, there's going to be an audio cue at the start of that round. So just as an example here, zombies might do the same amount of damage to you between rounds 0 and 5, and then when you get to the end of round 5, you'll hear an audio cue, and you'll know that the next time a zombie hits you, it's actually going to do so for slightly more damage than it would have done at round 3. And this is just going to help the player have an idea of, oh, I get it, the zombies themselves are getting more powerful, that's why I'm dying faster. That's why I can't take 14 hits on round 25, but I can take 14 hits on round 2. Now, the change to super sprinters is because the devs want to promote more movement skill expression in the game, and that is also reflected in a new rampage inducer change they're making, where rampage inducers will not spawn super sprinters until round 20. So you can move really quickly in those early rounds and outpace all those zombies and show off your skill, and the game will just be moving faster, which I think is a really great change. Another awesome change is that every 10 rounds, you're going to receive 50% of the salvage that you left on the floor and it just despawned over those previous 10 rounds. So you get to round 30, and then any salvage that you just didn't pick up over those past 10 rounds is going to be given to you, but with a 50% tariff. This is going to be like Christmas coming early. You've already earned the salvage, you might as well get it. I think this is a really cool change. Another small tweak is that sliding into a zombie is now going to knock the zombie down. Without any PhD stuff going on, you're just going to knock the zombie over. And Treyarch also heard my feedback and the feedback of all the other zombies guys at the preview event for Black Ops 7 about 2 months ago, when we said it was really annoying when a turned zombie kills the last zombie in a round and flips the round for you when you don't want it to do it. So now, turned brain-rotted zombies will have round-end protection where they will not kill the final zombie for you, and therefore they won't flip the round unless you kill it yourself and you want the round to flip. Another cool feature they're adding this year is overheal. This is going to allow you to get 300, 400, 500 health more than your normal base health, and it will stay there until you lose that extra health that you've earned, and then you'll just go back to being at your normal health cap again. I'm sure there are going to be some Easter egg steps to do with this one, so I look forward to including this in some of my guides. Next, the Wonder Fizz has been changed. Previously, you'd get to around 25, you'd spawn in the Wonder Fizz. Bosh, done, easy. Now, you can spawn it in around 25 as normal, that's fine, or you can get it earlier if you purchase a certain number of perks. And once you hit a threshold, and it will change depending on how big a team you're in, let's say you've bought 8 perks or something, boom, suddenly the Wonder Fizz is going to become present in your map. Now, Treyarch have also made some changes to the mystery box and wall buys to try and incentivize you to use the box more. So first of all, Wonder Weapon rarity has been decreased slightly. It's less rare in the box now. So you can get the Wonder Weapon a little bit more easily, which I think is a good change. Also, at higher rounds, you're going to see lower rarity stuff appear a lot less. So basically, you're going to see those gold rarity weapons more frequently and consistently at high rounds, which is good. You're basically only meant to see those anyway, so it's good that they're kind of smoothing that out, making sure that you don't get any annoying greens in there. And they're also taking score streaks out of the mystery box and putting ether tools into the mystery box to upgrade your weapon. Armor wall buys no longer work the way they did in Black Ops 6. So in Black Ops 6, you could just keep buying a gun off the wall and it'll have different attachments and different attachments and different attachments. You just keep buying it. Whereas in Black Ops 7, it's going to work more like it did back in Call of Duty World at War, where you buy a gun off the wall, and then you've got the gun, and if you go back up to the wall and rebuy the gun, you're going to get ammo for the gun you're holding, and it's going to come at a reduced cost. On top of this, they've also changed the aesthetic of ammo caches, so these now look like they fit in the zombies universe, unlike the old Warzone crates from Black Ops 6. This is a fantastic artistic change. I really welcome this. Thank you, Treyarch. Speaking of wall buys, the armor wall buy has also been changed. So now, if you go up to a blue armor wall buy and buy blue armor, that's your first armor purchase, you can then buy the next tier of armor from that same wall buy. Like, you do not need to go and find the purple wall buy. Instead, you can just buy it all in one place. So that's a nice change. One thing that some of you guys might be slightly concerned about, or you might like the sound of, is that they're also changing the costs of upgrading your loadout weapon from base rarity to max rarity to try and incentivize you to get rid of your loadout weapon and to instead invest in spending the mystery box and playing like the good old days a little bit more. So now, to go from gray to green rarity is going to cost 1,000 salvage instead of 1,500, and then to go from green to blue rarity is going to cost 1,500 salvage instead of 1,000. So there's an extra 500 cost on both of those upgrades. This is balanced a little bit by the epic purple rarity now costing 2,000 salvage instead of 2,500, and then the next upgrade just costs the same as it did before. So they're basically just nerfing your early game rarity upgrades, and then overall it's going to cost 500 more compared to previously. This, in addition to the reduction of salvage via the suppressor attachment, might mean that we feel pretty salvage poor in the early game. So you better stay tuned to my channel for those free ether tool upgrades that we all know are going to be coming in Black Ops 7. Now, many of you are probably curious about the zombies HUD. This is a complex one because we've seen clips of Black Ops 7 zombies so far with, straight up, I'm just going to say it, a very multiplayer looking HUD, and not in a good way. And I think what's happening here is that Treyarch haven't shown us the full extent of their HUD plans because they have this thing in the game in the planning stages, by the sounds of things, called themes for HUDs. And these themes are going to mean that you can seemingly get slightly more classic looking HUDs, like maybe HUDs from previous zombies games potentially, and choose to sort of install those instead of the multiplayer looking HUD. But because we haven't seen a full deep dive into that system yet, I'm hesitant to sort of make any promises one way or the other, but they are making some kind of system like that, and we'll learn more about that, I'm sure, very soon. So far though, no strong and good news to report on the HUDs front. Next, a little bit of a sort of miscellaneous change here. SAM trials are a thing of the past. They're gone, and they're being replaced with TED trials, which are going to work the exact same way. It's just that it's going to be TED giving you the orders now. Exfils are changing as well. You guys might remember the yellow phone booth from D Machine's intro cutscene. Well, that's actually back in Black Ops 7 as the exfil station. So the phone will ring, you can answer that phone and choose to exfil, and if you do so, it will spawn in an HVT on top of you. Other players can use other exfils around the map to teleport over to where you are and help you take the HVT down, and once you kill the HVT, you can then exit through a portal. Or you can die to the HVT, and you obviously fail the exfil. This is going to mean that it's no longer something where you enable the exfil and then you have to run across the map to a certain place or whatever, and it's just like a little bit more fiddly and tedious. The exfil loop now is a lot quicker, which is a nice change. Another nice change is that when the round changes now, if there are any players that are currently bleeding out, they're just going to get revived on the spot. Like if they're downed, they will just stand back up again when the round changes. Another thing that's positive and worth mentioning, even though it's just a confirmation of something that really should have always been the case, save and quit from Black Ops 6 Zombies is indeed returning. There are no changes to that functionality that they've labeled so far, so we should just have the exact same pause features and saving and quitting features that we did for the past year. Next, I mentioned there would be some melee changes. Melee weapons can now be used to inflict precise damage. And what I mean by that is if you aim for the head with a melee weapon, it's going to crit, which previously has not been the case. You've just kind of lunged and done your thing no matter what. No longer. So you can crit with those weapons now, and you also can heavy attack with melee weapons. And that's obviously going to do more damage. So you can choose, in this scenario, do I want to basically light attack or heavy attack? And that's why I mentioned with the Wonder Weapon, it's got some melee focus because I think Treyarch are trying to make new players play with these new systems now, but it does also have its ranged attack as well if you just want to shoot spikes out. So next, what the hell's going on with the story in Black Ops 7? The TLDR here is that in Black Ops 6, we went through a big story arc chasing down Richtofen, right? And now in Black Ops 7, right on the edge of that battle, that victory, we've ended up being sucked into the Dark Ether as a crew, the Maya, Carver, Weaver, and Grey crew, and we've met in the Dark Ether 4 new versions of Takeo, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Richtofen. Now, these are not the versions of those characters that we've known from the past. Instead, they're new versions, and each one is from a different alternate universe. So, Richtofen, for example, is from a world where Germany won World War II. Takeo is a disgraced samurai from the 1500s. Nikolai was fighting in Afghanistan in the 80s, and Tank was fighting in Vietnam. And so these guys are from completely different walks of life and completely different time periods, but they're all being sucked into the Dark Ether with us, and in the Dark Ether, as a crew, the 8 of us, all get sucked at the same time by a new villain who we're going to be taking on through the story arc of Black Ops 7. And that's why we're in the Dark Ether. That's why the characters all look so pasty. That's because we've had everything sucked out of us by this guy, and then he's just walked off and left us there to fend for ourselves. Luckily, Ted has been in the Dark Ether for a very long time, so Ted can help guide us through where we're at. And the Dark Ether itself is almost a dumping ground for all the different universes in the multiverse to just get rid of their trash. So anything that falls out of the main realms ends up in the Dark Ether. And that's why it's full of all these different POIs. It's full of all these weapons that we haven't seen before or that are familiar. And it's full of characters from alternate timelines. It's also why things are going to be able to be a bit more fantastical this year. So the story's got free reign to do some cool stuff, but it also means the new technology that we haven't seen before is going to be present. So, for example, at the crafting table, you can now not only use a mutant injection to become a mangler, but you can also use a disciple injection to become a disciple, and you can then suck the zombies. So you're maybe wondering, how soon can I suck the zombies? And the answer is, well, pretty damn soon, because Zombies is playable in the beta, and then obviously it's going to be playable from day 1 at launch. If you want more information about the beta, including how to get your hands on some codes for it, I've got a full video linked on the screen right now, and that talks about everything we know so far about the beta specifically. So click through to that video and make sure you're subscribed, like I keep saying, so you don't miss the 1,000,001 Zombies videos that I'm going to be posting over the next few months. I hope this has been a useful recap for you. I've tried to condense all the information into one neatly packaged video. Fingers crossed, it all worked out. See you next time, guys. Bye for now.